Hello, everybody. This is Sree from BizBuzz. What matters the most in your business? Sponsored by My Work Belt. My Work Belt is a all-in-one software, particularly catering to service-based small businesses. And today we have a great guest, Craig Andrews. Craig Andrews is a founder or principal ally at alliesforme.com. They are the masters of marketing or helping businesses to market, particularly if their service or product is requires a high trust or high ticket. If you have not checked it out, check out alliesforme.com. Number four, alliesforme.com. Now, Craig, how are you doing today?
Sree, I'm doing wonderfully. Thank you. Good to be
Thank,
here.
excellent, excellent. It's been a couple of weeks, and thank you very much for joining me back. And today, Craig, I wanted to ask you. In the green room, we were talking about how the large companies works and how the small businesses work, right? One of the elements that I particularly wanted to touch today is the value of having board of directors. Large companies naturally have board of directors, but why? What is the purpose of having the board of directors?
Well, I mean, for the large companies, they're often C corporations, and and that's a required part of their governance.
That's true.
And I mean, it fills a number of functions. One of which is they have a compensation committee, which involves no employees in the company, and so they help figure out the compensation of the senior executives, so that they're not in there giving themselves raises. I think
Uh-huh.
in theory, a board of directors is supposed to help guide you and run your business. My feeling with a lot of these large companies, the one of the shortcomings is that the CEO can never walk into a board meeting and say, "Hey guys, I'm struggling with this." They're like, "Oh, no problem. We have this guy down the street that's not struggling with it. You're fired."
You see well, there's always difference, right? The purpose of having certain element of a business is different from how it is actually being used in the reality. Now, public companies, large corporations, they behave differently. They have regulations, but not everybody follows the regulations. So if I stick to the actual purpose of having board of directors, is the board of directors, if I'm understanding what you're saying, they are the guidance element for the actual leader who is running the business operation. Is that a fair statement?
I think that's the idea of the design. It's that they do it and they also provide some oversight on behalf of the shareholders.
Well, when you take the public companies, you have shareholders, SEC regulations, compliance, and all that comes into picture. But there are some of the private companies; they have their own board of directors. That
Right.
that doesn't go by the regulations and requirements of the regulations, right? Now, they do keep that board of directors as a functional element. Matter of fact, some of the private companies that I know, they pay very well to the board of directors,
Yeah.
right? So, by taking that into account, as we just talked about it, there is a value to having a board of directors in a given business.
No, absolutely. And I think anybody that is running their business without outside voices is being a little bit reckless.
Bingo. That's actually a great point you mentioned, right? Now, if not board of directors, right? What why now we just touched about why there should be a board of directors, and we also talked about public companies board of directors. It works, it doesn't work. Now we also talked about private companies have the board of directors of their own, right? They can afford, they pay it. They cannot afford, they don't pay it. That's a different story. But what about the small businesses? Do you see small businesses having board of directors?
No, I mean, a lot of small businesses are, I think they have trouble paying because usually board of directors is a paid seat.
Correct.
Um, and if nothing else, it's at least you're asking a big favor of your board, to show up at some periodic time and to sit there and ask you tough questions. And usually if you have a good board of directors, it's people that are very accomplished.
Uh-huh.
And so, I mean, if we go back to 1997 when Steve Jobs rejoined Apple,
Uh-huh.
uh, in a rare thing, he managed to fire the board of directors and he brought in a new board. And one of them was Larry Ellison,
Uh-huh.
extremely, I think at the time, second richest man in the world.
I see.
They brought in the head of Intuit software.
Hmm.
And if you think about the caliber of these people, if you're Larry Ellison, or maybe you're like your town's version of Larry Ellison,
Uh-huh.
why are you going to give somebody, a couple hours of your time every month, unless you just really like the person, but that time is valuable. And
Correct.
so small businesses, I think, have trouble, bringing in that type of talent without it being a paid position and puts the small businesses in a bind.
Now, so that's actually interesting point you made. So you're saying that small businesses having trouble paying for the board of directors, or they don't see the value for having a paid board of directors? Which way you lean towards?
I would imagine it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Um, I would imagine it's a little bit of both. At least of the businesses that I run into, I don't see them using a board. Um,
See,
yeah,
that
there's,
that is where I'm having challenge with. I mean, I've seen many small businesses that I've been helping for the last 20 years or so. I have not come across any of my customers having a
yeah,
board of directors. It's just not. Now, I also learned from there is other alternate mechanisms available, something called there is advisors, board of advisors instead of board of directors, right? That's again the paid position. The point is, how do we, as a small business owner, is there any alternate to it?
yeah. I have something actually coming up in 2 hours today. I formed my own mastermind group,
Uh-huh.
and right now it's three of us. We want to grow it to four or five,
Uh-huh.
but we are all coming from different perspectives. And we meet once a week to talk
Yeah.
about each other's business with the goal of helping each other grow their business. And so the currency there is I'm bringing my unique expertise and they're bringing, their unique expertise. So if they have a marketing question, that's something they have me there for. We have somebody who is a pinnacle guide, which is unfortunately, I have to relate it back to EOS.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an evolution of EOS, and so he asks really good questions. We have somebody from the finance side who's looking at things differently, and so right now that's effectively my board of advisors.
Yeah.
And I have somebody else. I have a marketer. It turns out marketers need marketers too.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have a marketer that we meet once a month and we talk about each other's business.
See, that's a great point you mentioned. So a small business owner within his own realm of network, they can create their own board of directors,
Yeah.
right? Now, you have to have a great deal of trust in this board, right? Because you're going to share very sensitive information, and you're going to have to be open-minded to have them slap on, hey, you're making a mistake here, and you got to put your ego aside and be very objective on how to take that advice coming from this board. Am I correct?
Right. Yeah, that's
Now,
exactly right.
that's great. So you can create your own board. I mean, whether you officially call it a board or you don't officially call it a board, but you do have a team of people who can critique on what you're doing, whether it is whether it is with respect to a challenge in the business or whether it is respect to a strategic decision you're making in expansion, one way or other, right?
Yeah.
Now, I also found out that there is other peer groups that are actually paid peer groups. It is not that you have to break the bank. One of them I came to know is a Vistage, and there's another one. EO is another one that I found out that these peer groups they can act as your board of directors. I'm sure you have been through some of these. What is your take on that?
Well, and actually, we met through Vistage. I posted a message on Vistage,
Is
and that's how
indeed
we connected.
right.
The I felt like I got a lot of value out of Vistage. I felt like it added some things, but I also believe if you're really trying to move the needle on your business, um, meeting once a month in the limited time they have. So if you're in a TA group, you basically meet half a day.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you're
yeah.
in a CE group, you meet half a day, or you meet a full day, but the first half of the day is they bring in a speaker,
Correct.
which can be good. But if you have 10 people sitting in the room with you and you have 4 hours, it's going to be really hard to to get folks to speak in on your business. Now, I'm sure you've experienced this where they have sort of the, man in the middle, the person in the middle, you have an issue to work.
Correct.
And those are extremely helpful. And the Vistage process is second to none. It's a great, great process and how you work those issues and people help you with your business. But the reality is, in a group of, 10 or 12, maybe you get to do that once every 3 months.
Yeah.
And
You won't
uh,
get to have your own challenges be discussed in the group every month. I get that point. What I'm trying to say is, the board of directors, if you don't have a board of directors, you got to have something that you can go to get some
yeah.
guidance, right?
Well, and as a matter of fact, I often refer to Vistage as a board of directors that can't fire you.
Indeed, indeed. Well, I mean, if you are your own owner of the company, nobody can fire you unless it's your wife that's coming in and just get out of here.
Yeah.
That jokes aside, but see, it the overall idea here is large companies use board of directors particularly to guide the leader of the organization. But how it is actually happening in public sector, I'm not bringing that. That's more or less a political discussion. It's
Right.
not political, right? But large companies, even though they are private, they purposely put the board of directors in place to provide the guidance. So there's a huge value for having that board of directors. Basically, you have another pair of eyes, more than one pair of eyes, to look at your business process and giving you critique. And some people go with, hey, I would love to have a business coach who can give me a coaching. But that coaching is different from having board of directors, what they can bring to the table. What do you think?
Mhm.
Is that right or wrong?
Yeah, yeah, and a coach, that's a different and a unique skill set. And I mentioned that, one of the people in my mastermind is a Pinnacle guide. Those are actually very much like coaches, but
Mm-hmm.
there are people that are dedicated executive coaches.
Right.
And there's somebody that I at some point want to bring on in my business. He's just an amazing, amazing coach that he helps people grow their business.
But again, you are talking about one person and one perspective,
Yeah,
right? So when you are a board of directors, then you have three or four of whatever the number of people that you can bring and make form as a directors. Then you have multiple perspectives coming in.
which is incredibly valuable. And I totally
Incredibly
agree
valuable.
with you. Yeah.
So great. Thank you very much for sharing your perspective on that. And if I'm looking at it, those who are listening to it, I wanted to understand the board of directors is not necessarily only for the public companies. That is the valuable instrument in the business to be used in private sector industries, and the same can be used in small business as well. If you can afford, pay for a few dollars, get a real board of directors who can really guide you. If you don't, then bring in your own network peer group and do it. Or you can join a peer group and use that peer group as a board of directors. But point here is that please do use some outside perspective to critique and be open to take that critique and move the needle of your organization forward. I hope this will be of a great value for you. And if you like it, please subscribe to our channel and share this video with everybody and like the video. Thank you very much for joining us. Great. Thank you very much for joining me today, and I greatly appreciate your time and valuable suggestions here.
Thank you, Shrey. It's always a delight.
Excellent. Until next episode, see you then. Bye bye.